to Too Many Hats Podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock Dead P. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. Too Many Hats Podcast.
Top of the morning to you, my beautiful people. Happy hump day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. It's your host with the most, Tony Mays, the Veil Salter. What it do, my guy?
Good morning. Good morning.
What's going on, man?
You get it?
Well, the drama continues.
The government shutdown.
The drama continues. That's all I can say. Is the drama continues. And why? I don't know why this man. I don't understand what's going on with this dude. Like, every time I feel like he done went way left and he can't come back from way left, he go further left. And I'm like, how do you keep managing to just to go way left like that? But I got a picture. I got to share. Oh man. Did I not save it? Oh my God. I don't think I saved it. Man, I don't think I saved it. Maybe I didn't save it. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Oh, I guess I didn't save it. But I had a picture of somebody took. I don't know if they was allowed to be in the room or what, but I guess they were reporters and stuff. But they took a picture of all these generals and master sergeants and all this stuff that was in all these big heavyweights in this room. Man, the looks on their face, bro. All them solemn looks on their face, bro. They were looking like, man. So there was one general that actually spoke out. Where he was a retired general, brigadier general. And man, he blasted dude. So, and I know if he feel that way, a lot of the other ones feel the same way.
Oh yeah,
I believe that. So let me share. I want to share a couple of videos. Let me do this too. Let me share a couple of these videos. Because I felt like this was let's do this
one. We should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor.
That to me was the most scary part of the entire speech. I mean, there was a lot of rambling, there was a ton of lies, but the scariest part was when the president talked about using the military and using our cities as a training ground for the United States military. Now, the military has done training in cities before, but that's not what I think he's talking about here. He's talking about using the military in ways that we should not see in America. And I'm very worried about this. I think that the whole part of bringing these generals and admirals back here was to discuss this type of thing. And it should scare us all. This is something that we just don't do in America. We have police forces to fight crime, and we should be, putting money into those police forces, not sending American troops that are trained for war to American cities.
Dude's crazy, bro. And I think now, I think the crazy part is really how he addressed these generals and these admirals, all these top officials in this room, or these top military people in this room, how he addressed them like they was like some little punks, basically. So, I posed the question today, are the generals, I should have said generals and admirals, upset with 47? So, do I think all of them are upset? Heck no, because some of them are rolling with 47. But a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I believe are, because they don't follow that same, I don't even know the word I want to use for that, but they don't follow this dude, orange dude, like that. So let me play this video, then we'll kind of jump into it, and you guys can kind of tell me whether or not you think these generals and admirals are upset with 47.
President Trump addressing hundreds of top U.S. generals and admirals at a major meeting in Virginia. He touted his decision to change the name of the Department of Defense back to the Department of War. He says it's a historic reassertion of our purpose, identity, and pride. He also emphasized his strategy of peace through strength, saying we're reawakening the warrior spirit. He also told the officers that he has their backs, pledging to make the military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than ever before. He also suggested the military use what he calls dangerous Democrat-run cities as a training ground. Earlier, Secretary Pete Hegseth told the officers to welcome the War Department because the era of the Department of Defense is over. Hegseth says the department lost its warrior ethos and became the woke department, saying the military promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons based on race or gender quotas. Now he says the military must address the problems in its own command, and the Pentagon is ripping out the debris of DEI initiatives and woke garbage. Let's bring in senior national policy reporter Ann Flaherty, White House correspondent Karen Travers, and ABC News contributor and former U.S. ambassador to NATO, General Doug Lute, for more. So, Karen, I want to start out with you at the White House. I mean, look, this was a long, meandering speech from the president. Some of those talking points we've heard from him before, jumping from Putin to the Nobel Peace Prize to tariffs. What is your distillation of the message that the president was trying to send today to these hundreds of top military officials?
Selena, when the president left the White House a couple hours ago, he had pitched this speech to those military leaders as a great spiritizing, talking about this as if it was going to be a pep rally, and the way he was reinventing the military, the changes he was making in his administration to how the military operates, the new culture that he is trying to instill. But you've said it was meandering. The president talked at length about tariffs and Supreme Court cases that they have had on these issues. He talked at length about Joe Biden, his predecessor, and had significant criticism about the former president as well as the Biden administration. I also thought it was striking that room, and we had confirmation from this from reporters who were there, was very quiet. It's not a crowd that the president is used to when he gives speeches in front of very political audiences who usually laugh and applaud at some of the president's criticisms of Democrats and especially his predecessor. He didn't have that today. But But you also mentioned what the president was saying about what the military can do in American cities. And the president said this point several times. He talked about the executive action he's taken recently, that executive order on a National Guard quick reaction force. And he said that this is aimed at stopping civil disturbances in American cities. And he said this is a big thing for people in this room because he called it the enemy within and having.
I'm gonna stop it right there. The enemy within.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now,
He said
you
the
can save
enemy
£50 per
within.
person.
What the hell is that?
That was me.
Oh, the enemy within. So he's calling American cities that really ain't on his agenda the enemies within. And so he wants to use the military to come into those cities as a training ground. Not like the not like the typical reserves where they do 1 weekend out of a month and 2 weeks out of a year training somewhere. Not like that. Like physically wartime training ground. That's crazy, bro.
Super crazy.
That's crazy. You're declaring, and it's in democratic cities that, again, he called the governor of Illinois
Stupid. Mm-hmm.
This man is ludicrous, bro. He is off the chain. But so you can see from that video that they were just showing, they were showing like the back of like a lot of the generals' heads while he was up talking. But again, they say you could hear a pin dropping. That it was so quiet. Wasn't nobody rooting. Ryder says it's Friday. Wasn't nobody rooting for the dude. Wasn't nobody nothing. It was just, yeah. Wasn't no hoopla, no clapping, no none of that. And I would just have liked to have been a fly, not on the wall, but in some of them dudes' minds. Just a fly on the wall in their mind. Just what was going through their mind. What was really going through their mind. It's crazy. So do I think that these generals and admirals and stuff are upset with him? Yeah, because he even talked about firing. You heard the other crazy dude talked about taking out the DEI initiatives, people that they've hired because of DEI, or promoted within the ranks. You're talking about us.
Correct.
Promoted in the ranks. That they was gonna clear out that mess, and so they talking about firing and getting rid of some of these generals and admirals and stuff, which is crazy. Call some of them overweight, big, and overweight, fat.
Mm-hmm.
That was an insult. You got a bunch of top generals and admirals in the room, and you gonna go in there and just talk bad about them. So, are the military generals and admirals upset with Donald Trump? I would say not all, but I would say probably a good little majority of them are.
Probably what, 65%?
I don't even want to put a percentage on it. I would just say a good fair number of them are.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because of the way he addressed them and talked to them too. And he changed it from the Department of Defense to now the Department of War. Now,
Well, you asked the question, are we in civil war? I headed towards.
do I think that the military could be tougher? you always want your military to be tough, and like so when they do have to, be in these situations of war that they can defend, whatever they, and then you want them to be able to come home. So yeah, I want them to be tough in that regard. But he's talking about
in your own country.
yeah, but and he also was talking about like with basic training. They talked about, I heard they in this talk they talked about basic training, how they was gonna make basic trainings and stuff tougher, back where they said back tough, like they used to be. That the drill sergeant's gonna have, autonomy to kind of talk crazy, to use profanity, to even, get. I mean, they was doing that when I got in. Shit. And that wasn't nothing new. So I guess that's been the early 90s, early 90s since I did that. So maybe he's saying that since that time it has gotten soft. I don't know. I ain't been in the military through basic training in AIT, but apparently now they're trying to say that those units, that training and stuff has weakened, and they want to get it back to the where it used to be. So am I opposed to
make a difference on that? He want them to do what he wanted them to do. He want to.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if that's true to the case, like if it wasn't, because it was tough when I came through. Basic was tough. I mean, it was breaking people down. It was tough. So do I want it? Do I without? Yeah, because you need that kind of mindset. You need that kind of training to prepare people for war. And even now, that's still not enough to prepare somebody to go over there in the middle of a war zone to be shot at or to shoot and kill somebody, unalive somebody.
Well, if 47 of them pissed everybody off in the freeway,
well, I mean that's happening too. So so it's complicated. In short, yes, there are signs of tension between some military leaders and the broader office corps and Donald Trump. But it's not accurate to say that all generals, and that's why I said I don't think that all of them are upset, especially not in a unified way. Where they all upset to say we're gonna rebel against 40. No, I don't think they're all upset in that way. But I think it's enough of them to divide and cause where you got these group of military dudes pulling over here and these over here saying, and then now you got a civil war brewing.
Yeah, we just talked about that right now.
Yeah, talking about how fat they are and all that stuff.
Because they stressed out.
I think they're
everybody don't use
upset.
drugs.
I do think they're upset, but I don't think they're upset in a unified way to the point that they all against Trump. No. The relationship is fraught, politically sensitive, and evolving. So I think there's a whole lot of tension. And you know what? That whole spiel could have been to drive people to go ahead on and resign from their positions. To say I'm gonna fire, we're gonna roll back these DEI initiatives, the people who was promoted because of this, not because of their skill set and all this stuff, to kind of get these, to get them upset to the point they say, man, you know what, I'm sick of this dude. Let me just go on, get out. I'm sick of this military. Let me get out of here. But what's gonna happen is some of these dudes, because if you look at, bro, I say I'm different. I'm looking at the picture. That's why I wish I had the picture.
Right.
I'm looking at the picture and I'm looking at all the accolades on their chest. Some of them, man, some of them had so many accolades on their chest, bro, that it was coming down to like their stomach.
So that's very disrespectful in that matter, then, because
Hell yeah, them decorated, a lot of them decorated, man, highly decorated individuals. You got 4-star generals, brigadier general, major generals, 5-star general. You got all these generals in this room, bro, and you sitting there, and admirals, and you sit in this room and you calling them fat and talking about wrong hires and all of this stuff. Man, them
And you ain't
folk
even
was a lot of them
you ain't
folk
even
was
been in the
slighted, bro.
military. You ain't even fought no type of war. You just
Man, I'm looking at all the accolades on these dudes' chest, man. I'm like, man, these highly decorated generals and master sergeants and chief master sergeants and all this stuff in this room, bro. And he talking crazy. They talking about what the military, we gonna toughen up the military. Man, them dudes feel like he gonna toughen us up. Man, the when you talk about the Rangers, the Navy SEALs, the Marine Corps, man, that's some of the toughest dudes, bro. Yeah, have you ever seen what a airborne ranger gotta go through and training, what a Navy SEAL gotta go through? Come on, bro. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Okay. And some of them dudes, them generals, have been through that training. Let me go back. I'm jumping the gun. So yes, the tension, and there are signs of tension and conflict. You have unusual senior officers meeting and muted reactions, like nobody responded to this whole meeting. They just sat there in silence. And I imagine that probably before he got out, they were kind of talking amongst themselves, you know. And then this Secretary of Defense, who's now getting ready to call this the Department of Defense, the Department of War, Pete Hegseth. He, if I'm not mistaken, him and Trump is the one got this whole meeting together at Quantico. Hundreds of generals and admirals, bro, in this room. Hundreds. They said Trump also spoke. Observers noted that many senior officers were visibly restrained, fidgeting, or reluctant to applaud. Some described the scene as awkward with compliance rather than what's this hold on. I don't know. There you go. Then you had threats of firing, demotions. You don't get all these folk in the room and start threatening them, bro. Highly decorated individuals. It ain't easy to become no general, bro. It ain't easy to become when you start talking about.
Let me ask you this, Tony. Do you think? Let me ask you this. So, do you think he's trying to destroy the country so bad to where nobody don't even want to run for president?
I don't know what, bro. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, but it's clearly, man, it's clearly he's empowering people, or he has empowered certain individuals to feel like what we say go. We don't care what nobody else says. We don't care what no Congress say, what no Senate says. Whatever we say is what it is. So he has threatened to terminate or demote military leaders who do not fall in line. So if they oppose him, he talking about terminating them. See, that word terminate to me don't mean what it probably mean to some other people. Because terminate can take on a whole different meaning when you're talking about this kind of level of anarchy. Terminate or demote military leaders who do not fall in line. Harsh rhetoric and policy pressure. Hegseth's comments Not no more fat generals, bro. If you a general, you done served 40 years, or 30 or 40 years in the military, you'd have been through several wars. Some of them even go back to as far as the Vietnam War, bro, where they're sitting generals and stuff that go back that far, that were in that war. Maybe wasn't generals at that time, but you know, they may have been officers or lieutenants, first lieutenant, whatever, second lieutenant, that
Well,
are
look.
now generals.
So some just keyed me just to think about this. So Project 2025, this is basically what they're doing. They're working in. It says Project 2025 is a comprehensive policy and personal proposal developed by conservative organization led by the Heritage Foundation. And its plan for the U.S. military includes reducing the number of generals and increasing the number of enlisted personnel.
Okay. I'm telling you, man, it's all part of a bigger plan. Trump's proposals to use the military in U.S. cities raised alarms. Yeah, because how he wants to use them. Critics say this strains the apolitical posture expected of the military. So Rodney just put this in there. He said the AI overview. The commander in chief, the president has the authority to remove members of the military from their position, but not all dismissals are the same, especially when it comes to officers. The president's power is limited by federal law, primarily the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which Congress passed to govern the armed forces. Officers, the process and limitations for removing commissioned officers are different than enlisted members. Removal from a specific command, and it has more as what he wrote. But yeah, this right here, this is different. And that's why I say, Rodney, that this word terminate takes on a whole different meaning for me. Because as he talked about, you know, the officers, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, you know, and see, you guys understand these generals and stuff that's in this room, they know these laws, bro. I guarantee you. They know this stuff back and forth. So they already know. That's why I'm trying to think of the guy. Let me see. I'm trying to find out this brigadier general who retired brigadier general who spoke out against this. Here, retired Steve Anderson. Yeah. Said he slams Pete Hegg, said this is not normal or safe. His retired Brigadier General Steve Anderson. He said, no. That's why he sent the military to this democratic city? It's for control. It's power. It ain't about him sending all these FBI, US Mars did. This shit ain't about no. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. This ain't really about the crime. This is about power and control.
Yeah.
Because if they were so concerned about the crime, that $100 million that was given to the state of Tennessee, Memphis would have more of that money to put more, try to give officers more bonuses out to sign up officers to get officers in this city on the street. Hey, if you can give a $50,000 sign-on bonus to ICE agents to come join ICE, they give $50,000 sign-on bonuses, bro.
That's crazy.
For ICE. So hey, get that to the police officers that you need to patrol these cities to get in there and make them say that, hey, you can't just take this $50,000 sign-on bonus and you gone. You got to fulfill, 3, 4, 5 year contract, or you got to pay that 50,000 back.
Mm.
Don't just give it to them, because if you give it to them with no, man, they'll take that money and man, come on now, you got to be smart about it.
So this is a well thought out plan, man. It said mass firing of generals, citing anonymous sources. A CNN report from September 2025 detailed the sudden mass firings of several top military leaders, including the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the chief of naval operations, and the head of defense intelligence agency. Yeah, so this was Project 2025. Period.
Right. See, the writer said those generals probably not gonna say a word against him if he can fire them like that. That is the subject of the movie Civil War. They didn't agree with the president, and rebel, and the rebels wanted him unalive. Man, bro. The word, look, every time I see a post about something that's going on, and I go to the comments, every time I go to the comments, there are at least 5 or 6 people before I stop looking that mentions Civil War.
Hmm.
They either mention the movie Civil War, or they mention that this country is headed for a civil war because of what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be another plan of his. Hell, who knows? To destroy the country and, build it back up and get rid of, anyway. I don't know.
Mm.
Leadership changes and cuts. Trump replaced or removed senior officers, including the chairman of
That's it.
he removed the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He ordered a 20% reduction in 4-star positions. That's 4-star general positions. Some view this as reshaping leadership to align with his goals.
Mm-hmm. He want yes man.
And retired generals Barry McAfee have criticized Trump as a threat to national security. And Steve Anderson said that let me where his quote at? Let me get to his quote. He said, wait a minute, I hate when all these things pop up. He said, have you heard anything that constitutes a change or an announcement or a reason to be addressing the group in the room today? And he said, I think that there's probably a lot of general officers sitting there right now muttering to themselves. I have traveled 8,000 miles to hear this, said Anderson. I mean, this is essentially a canned speech that really could have been delivered by anybody and at almost any time. But I think there are some clues that he's leaving about refocusing on homeland security and taking away perhaps some of our forward presence in the strength of our alliances overseas, and that really concerns me. Good morning, Joseph. It's crazy, yeah. Why it's not universal upset? There's no mass rebellion, no large unified block of active duty generals has revolted as of yet. Hard to ascribe sentiment. Officers avoid political statements. Muted applause. Isn't open position opposition. So they trying to tell you why this is not why this not a universal upset with all the generals happening. Why all of them are not? Because just because they have a muted applause, that doesn't mean that they're in opposition of what the president is saying. Some compliance, many follow directives pragmatically. So some of them going to follow directives because that's what they've been taught to do all their life. They've been in the military following directions all their lives, so they're going to continue to follow directives. That's what some do. And from an institutional constraints, military is subordinate to civilian authority. Open conflict would be a constitutional crisis. Pop said this situation is going to play out badly for this administration. Watching this meeting yesterday, you saw that Trump was upset that the generals did not give him applause.
I mean, why would they?
You in there, whatever his name, himself or whatever his name, he in there calling folk fat. Y'all in there telling people that they've been hired or promoted through DEI, not because of the, all of this stuff on their chest that they've been through. That they unqualified. You got folk that supposedly unqualified and some more. How you gonna call these people unqualified? That's tough, bro. Yes, there is credible evidence to unease frustration and wariness about Trump's style and rhetoric. Tension and pushback exist, but upset is too strong a word. The situation is not open rebellion. Most remain cautious, restrained, and bound by chain of command norms.
It's jacked up.
So I think, again, I believe that a lot of them are upset. Probably more than half are upset. Because in that room, they were challenged in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
They were either told, which was disrespectful, that no, we ain't having no more fat generals. Y'all not tough enough. Your men are not tough enough. We changing the culture because y'all too woke. We getting rid of the woke culture and go back to toughness. So you didn't put these people down in several ways that was just really crazy and disrespectful. It says that some outlets report such threats as part of the pressure of the military hierarchy. Hedge sets harsh comments at the meeting, calling for no more fat generals, reflect a push to enforce more rigid standards. Trump's proposal to use military forces in U.S. cities framing domestic unrest as a kind of war raised alarms about politicizing the military and constitutional restraints.
But this is the
Critics
thing,
say
though.
some of this, huh?
This is the thing, though. And I'm not promoting unhealthiness. I was saying being fat. These are generals. These guys are not. They've earned the rank to not be able to be in the field. They give orders. They're just as powerful, in some cases, more powerful than the president, depending on what's happening. And he's trying to strip their power from them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, some of them have rose up through the ranks by, just following orders. I just follow orders, sir. I don't, they give orders, but they follow them too. They follow them to. And then you got some of them, man. You got some. Let me tell y'all something. I ain't gonna say that you got some master sergeants or some chief master sergeants, or whatever, that will talk crazy to a general, but they'll talk crazy to some colonels, I just didn't talk crazy to some captains. Them jokers walk in the room, captain talking about you ain't salute me. And they'll talk so crazy to a captain, bro. Man. And if the captain try to go to a colonel or general, man, that's like, you sit your down. That's a word, man. That man is a highly decorated individual. Better sit your hands down somewhere. So just to have all these people in this room, man, and be talked to or talked down to, because that's what I felt like it was. They were being talked down to. was just total the utter disrespect.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I mean, to be that high ranked, that means that all the work you did, all the things you accomplished, don't mean shit. Just plain out every day.
So what if you got some women that have reached higher ranks? So
You know
like,
he really don't. You know you don't care about them. You can't stand women, so
oh,
so that
oh
is
my.
what it is.
So Trump has replaced or removed high ranking officers sometimes controversially. For example, he dismissed the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Charles Q. Brown Jr., along with the other senior military leaders. Some observers see this attempt as to reshape the leadership to align more closely with Trump's goals or the 2020 Project 2025. Um, Public commentary by retired generals. Some retired generals have voiced strong criticism of Trump. For example, retired General Barry McAfee calls Trump a serious threat to U.S. national security.
Hmm.
Like, he's saying Trump is a problem. Since they are no longer in active duty, their statements do not reflect current institutional policy, but they do influence public perception of friction.
That's
Because
what
I'm
I
pretty
just
sure,
said.
because
Yeah.
if they retired, they still have communication with those that
Mm-hmm.
are still in power.
Mm-hmm.
So you ain't gonna tell me just because they retired, they don't have no power.
Mm-mm.
Uh, so within the military, many officers avoid overt political statements. Of course, I understand. Internal disagreement or discomfort may be expressed privately. The muted applause during Trump's speech is a subtle sign, but doesn't necessarily equate to outright opposition. Oh, let's clock this tea with our girl Queen Watkins, man.
Hmm.
Yes, let's clock this tea.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what time it is. Put them phones down, fingers up. It's time to clock that tea with your girl Queen. I hope y'all are having an amazing morning. But y'all know what time it is. It's time to clock that tea. Have y'all seen the lady that is going viral because of the video she made regarding her husband after he passed away? Let's talk about it. So this young lady, her husband passed after them being together for 12 years, y'all. When he passed, she was trying to grieve, but y'all know how when something happens, usually people will post on social media, will post photos of the person or condolences, things of that nature, right? So when she went on social media, she began to see her husband with a few different women. So she trying to figure out like why these random women, it wasn't just one woman, it's random women posting her husband and themselves saying that this was their man. So she was like, y'all really posting to be proud side chicks? That's insane.
Mm.
So she made the statement. She said she thought the grieving was the worst part of losing him. But she said the worst part is the aftermath to figure out after 12 years, you have not been the only woman. He has been living multiple secret lives. So when she went on social media, one of the girls was having a memorial for him, and people was showing up like that was her man for real. So she like, dang, y'all must have been that close, knowing each other that long, for you to sit up and have a whole memorial, a whole little get together for her husband, y'all. This is her husband. So she said, okay, she finna shut shit down. She didn't have a funeral, a wake, a memorial, visitation, whatever you want to call it. She didn't have nothing. She decided to cremate him. She said, hell, since he was for the streets, that's who she gonna give him back to, because apparently he wasn't for her. Simple as that, right? So, moral of that story is, y'all, be mindful, be careful of what you got going on. Keep your eyes open, ears open, because, baby, that's insane. 12 years and she didn't know about a thing. Do you hear me? But when she found out, she hushed everybody up because at the end of the day, wifey has the last word. Wifey is the one that's just saying, hey, this ain't gonna go down. And it didn't. Period. Side chick ain't as good as what you think, baby. Y'all ain't gonna get nothing after that man passed. It's gonna go straight to his wife. And where she gonna want us to go to, y'all ain't getting none. Unless y'all was really, really good and that man put y'all in the wheel. But 9 times out of 10, you a side chick. You didn't get put in there. All right, y'all. That's all the tea that I have today. Make sure y'all tune in to 2 Minute Hits Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. sharp. And don't forget to stay tuned for your girl, Queen Watkins. Clock that tea. Y'all, don't forget to send in your donations, guys. November is right around the corner. We are already in October. So November is right around the corner. Y'all go ahead and send those donations in for the homeless tents. The sleeping bags, y'all, if you want to come help, let us know, guys. Everything is welcome. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.
The nerve of the side chicks. The nerve of the side chicks to post pictures of this man. She ain't say side chick. She said side chicks.
Plural.
Plural.
Mhm.
Man, Pop says, man, it takes 20 to 30 years to make some of them ranks. Man, shit, longer. Some of them,
Yeah.
Trump couldn't do 20 push-ups if his life depended on it. He was hating on Obama because he could run down the stairs from the airplane. He seemed like he's coming after everybody though. So when you think about and look at it, he ain't just targeting. I mean, he coming after former presidents. I saw a video where he was talking about the Epstein files, and he was saying like he don't know what's in them and all this stuff. But then he say, well, Bill Clinton supposedly went to his island or whatever he had or wherever his place was 28 times. How do you know that he went? That was a specific number.
He giving himself away.
That show was a specific number, 28 times.
But I sent you a video, and this young lady said it's not the Epstein files, it's the Trump files. with his brother, Epstein brother, giving some tea on the airplane charts. You know what I'm saying? When they fly, they have to make the records. And how many times he don't flew with Epstein and Epstein don't flew with him.
Well, even I think his son, Epstein's son said that or somebody said that all the stuff Trump was saying about Epstein was stuff that he actually did, and Epstein stopped messing with him because of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Phyllis said, so technically he's their boss, so it reflects back on him. He looks stupid.
Period.
Yep. It's crazy. So I'm gonna play a little bit more of this video because I kind of stopped it, but I'm gonna play a little bit more of it. Since we got a little bit time left, I didn't know how much time we was gonna have.
To handle it before things get out of control. He made several references to that, an enemy within, domestic enemies. That was very striking to say that to that crowd. But you also noted he talked about what the rebranding of the Defense Department means in his mind. He said this is all about making the military stronger, tougher, faster, more fierce, more powerful than ever before. But Selena, I think if this was meant to be kind of a pep talk to those military leaders in the room, that was a very long speech that covered so many topics, not unfamiliar to us who cover this president every day, but perhaps for those people who were brought in from all around the world, not the speech they were expecting to hear from the president.
Yeah, Karen, and you pick on a very good point, which is this is not the typical audience that the president speaks to. So you did see him trying to crack some jokes, get a reaction from that audience. But I want to toss things over to you, General Lute, which is what Karen was talking about in these repeated references to the war within. The president is talking about rebranding from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And I want to read to you this notable quote. He says, he's talking about cities run by the, quote, radical left Democrats. He's saying we're going to straighten them out one by one, and this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within.
Well, I think we all witnessed a reminder of a very fundamental military standard today. And that is the standard that the U.S. military stays out of partisan politics. That's a bright red line for everyone in that audience today, but frankly, it was not a bright red line. It's not a standard for President Trump, who essentially delivered a campaign speech. Meanwhile, his audience was respectful, but subdued. With respect, they stood upon the entrance to the auditorium by the commander-in-chief, but he didn't get applause lines. He didn't get a response to his jokes and so forth. So the military was not playing the partisan game today. And I'm frankly very proud of those officers who sat in the room.
But what about your reaction to the idea that the president is talking about, being prepared for war? He's had this rebranding, and then you have these repeated references to war here at home.
Well, again, this is, I think, maybe the most poignant partisan part of the presentation today. That is that democratically led cities are overwhelmed with violence and out of control and burning, as he said, and in fact, that this now becomes a Department of Defense mission, as though it's a military mission to subdue these cities and so forth. And he cited the part of the military oath to protect and defend against enemies, foreign and domestic. And he's using that line to connect his vision of the use of American military domestically in our cities with the basic oath of office of the U.S. military. So I think many in the audience today will take from that a concern that their mission is shifting towards domestic political concerns.
And I just want to take a step back and for our viewers at home. I mean, this gathering could be costly for taxpayers. We're talking about hundreds of these top military officials flying in from all around the world, the travel costs, the lodging. But at the same time, we are on the brink of a government shutdown, and some 2 million troops could be forced to work without pay next month if this shutdown actually happens. So what kind of message do you think that sends to our troops?
Well, that's certainly interesting to point out that there are 2 million.
Shit. Oh my God. That right there. I didn't even consider that.
Mm-hmm.
That all the cost to get all of these top ranking generals and admirals in this room, in this one place in Quantico one time. Truly, they've been flown in from all over the world to this one location, and that costs all that cost. But we're on the verge of a federal shutdown, and these officers and military that's being deployed might not even be getting paid.
Well, the shutdown happened. It is so.
So, good morning, Ms. Paulette. So this is just crazy, man. Anyway, I promise y'all, I'm bringing y'all this stuff because, again, I don't want us to be ignorant to what's going on. We're not trying to scare nobody. We want you to be informed. And being informed is the best way. Because if you're informed, I told somebody yesterday, man, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
I applauded my brother-in-law when we talked about the survival stuff, how he had all of the survival books and all of the stuff he had. And he said, I bought this the last time you went live talking about getting a survival kit and all that. He said, I bought all this stuff then. So I'm glad somebody listening.
Mm-hmm.
So anywho, that's all I have for today, man. This is, this thing is studied, man. I don't know how this stuff gonna play out, man, but it's just crazy how it's all moved.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been trying to avoid it, but it's like you say.
You can't, because whatever TV station you put it on, social media, it keeps popping up.
Yeah.
The different stuff that he's doing. So it's kind of hard to not, talk about it.
And what's so crazy, certain sources who have been somewhat rallying in his case and his cause, they slowly but surely saying, hey, this dude here, man, he don't care about nobody.
It's the same thing with all the farmers, how he was talking when all these farmers wanted to vote for Trump. And now all these farmers, some of them are threatening bankruptcy, some of them are threatening going broke, losing their whole life, because they rolled the dice. They rolled the dice with him. And now they get in, now all of them talking about how they about to lose their lives and not gonna be able to take care of their families anymore and all this stuff, their livelihood, because of what he's done with this immigration and all this other stuff.
And the tariffs.
And the tariffs have put, because a lot of them were shipping major, stuff to other countries, and now these tariffs and stuff, these countries are not buying the stuff from them.
Yeah.
And so it's hurting them. You just sitting on, you a farmer just sitting on all this stuff now.
Yeah. It don't take long for their crop to go bad.
And you ain't got nobody to sell it to. Yeah. All right, man. That's all I have today, man. I said them farmers they had a video with them farmers, they all complained about it. I said, y'all just FAFO.
Yeah, one of the news reports says that they counted on Trump, and they was doing good. Now they have nobody left but God. All the farmers in this one big old room praying.
Wow. All right, come on, man. Prayers out, brother.
Yeah. Lord God, you see, before all this stuff even came to pass, we've come through a lot of things in life. You see what's going on, and you have the power, and you're the one that allows this stuff to go on. So you understand what you're doing, and we respect your sovereignty. Because undoubtedly, God, you're doing something that we can't even fathom or even put our mind around. So we allow you to be God in our lives and give us the wisdom and knowledge and understanding and the wherewithal to stand while we're going through what we're going through. Lord God, we continue to ask you to bless us collectively and individually. Touch Tony family, my family, Queen family, and every family that's associated with us, and continue to meet us here on tomorrow. And we ask you to use your dollar son in Jesus' name, and we said amen.
Amen, man. It did. You know what? This is a crazy turn from when we initially started this podcast, because I was like, we ain't talking about no politics. We ain't talk, but you can't help but to talk about it.
It ain't going nowhere, Doc.
It ain't going nowhere. All right, man. Thank you.
Like with me, bro. Both of us are preachers. So I got to preach Sunday morning, and it's like it's even kind of clouding my thought process as to what to say and what to deliver, because this thing is crazy what we're dealing with, and you really don't know what to say and what not to say.
Yeah. So like you're gonna have to, like after Friday, because you're gonna have to shut all your social media down and just go in that secret closet and pray, because it does. It'll start to run all together. Anyway. We'll see you next time, man. Same bad time.
I rest my case.
Same bad place, man. Too many hats. Let's talk about it.
It's the 2 Minute Hats podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock Dead P. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. 2 Minute Hats podcast.